What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is another MX5 video, and as you can see, our bike is now outfitted with a ton of upgraded parts. So in this video, we're gonna go over all these parts so you guys can better understand what's gonna fit and what's not gonna fit when you start upgrading your MX5. As we get into this video, we are super excited to announce that we Talaria boys are doing our first ever giveaway, and it's a big one. We are gonna be giving away a stock Talaria Sting MX5. So stay tuned, that is gonna start October 1st. And if you guys wanna know how to enter, go to the link in the video description and it will take you to sign up for our TB Electric email list. And we're gonna send out an email blast and show you guys exactly how to enter that giveaway. So stay tuned, October 1st. As we get into this video, it may not be the most fun because we're gonna stand here and do a lot of talking and going over upgraded parts. But if you ever plan to upgrade an MX5, this video will be absolutely critical for you because there's a lot of changes to this bike and a lot of parts that are compatible with other Talarias are no longer compatible with this bike. To start off, this build was sponsored by Warp 9 and TB Electric. We worked together with them to outfit this bike. There's a ton of Warp 9 parts on here and a lot of TB Electric parts. So if you guys are interested in anything that is currently on this bike, go check out our website, tbelectricmoto.com. There'll be a link in the video description directly to the MX5 parts page. Any parts you find on there will be directly compatible with an MX5 because we have tried it. Okay, let's get into what fits and then later what doesn't fit. Starting off strong, we have a Talaria Guts seat cover. The seat on the MX5 is slightly different, but the seat covers fit perfect. Also, it's very common to crash and tear up your seat. A standard Talaria MX3 or MX4 seat will bolt right up to the MX5. Moving up, we have our TB Electric key ignition cover. This is billet aluminum and it fits perfect. Moving up to the cockpit, we got Warp 9 3-inch rise handlebar, bar mount, and stem lock. All of those are gonna fit just like any other e-moto. Moving up, we have the Warp 9 big light headlight. This thing is super cool. It comes with this built-in light switch, and it is only compatible with a Warp 9 bar mount. You can see it mounts to this lower block. Continuing on with the headlight, if you trace the wire in, this Talaria MX5 has the same headlight connector as a Sting R or MX4. So any headlight that is compatible with the Sting R will also fit this bike. There's also really no need to add an extra headlight switch to your bike, except for this one is built into the light so it's needed, but you can use the stock headlight switch that's built in right here. Here we also have the ODI number plate, good addition. You can add some color to the front end. Continuing with ODI, we have their half waffle grips and the ODI grip donuts, add a little bit more comfort when you're riding. Let's talk about some plastics. Front fender is the same as any other Talaria model, as is this horn cover plastic. As is the rear fender, as is this lower rear fender, and as is the plastic piece that is typically here. We've upgraded to this TB Electric aluminum chain guard. Moving down lower to our bash guard, we have upgraded to the Grit Shift Heavy Hitter bash plate. This has the same mounting as the Talaria MX3 or MX4, so if you break your skid plate, you can do an upgraded one like this, or you can buy a stock one and it'll mount right up. Here we have the upgraded Warp 9 Talaria peg lower kit and the Warp 9 Talaria pegs. So this is the whole setup here. However, you can still run the Warp 9 Talaria specific foot pegs on the stock MX5 peg bracket. So those are compatible, but we have the whole setup here. Here we have the Warp 9 adjustable kickstand. This fits on the stock peg brackets as well as obviously the Warp 9 upgraded one. And then any other kickstand that is designed for a Talaria Sting MX4 or MX3 will also fit to the MX5 brackets. Here we have a TB Electric gearbox cover that fits same as every other Talaria model. Here on the rear shock, it has the same measurements top to bottom as a Surron, Eride Pro, and all the previous Talaria models, so very similar to most e-motos. And then if we move down to the linkage, you see we have a Warp 9 upgraded linkage on here. They do a 0 rise and also a 0.75 inch rise. We went with the 0 because we're sticking with the 19-inch wheels front and back, and that is typically the best fitment. So that is going to be the same. Also, the lower linkage is the same fitment as a Talaria Sting R. If anybody is wondering, both of these plastics here and here are the same as previous Talaria model. So if you break those, you can get any one. Here we have the Warp 9 air vent. So this allows air to get into your gearbox, but not oil to come out and spill. So that's super nice. That fits the same as any other Talaria model. And then if we move on to, we got a tail light and an underglow in here from Project 9. And the super cool thing that we just noticed is you can turn them on with the built-in light switch. So you can go off just like you see, and on, you'll see our tail light up there, and our underglow under there. So in the dark, this will look a lot better. Okay, let's talk about some tires. Here we have a rear Tusk ground wire. This is our favorite rear upgraded tire for a stock 19-inch rear wheel. It's got tons more grip, really works nice. And here we have a front Tusk ground wire as well. That is going to be front specific. This is a perfect combo for the hard off-road riders. If you do more of a mix of street and off-road or majority street, we really like the Shinko 241 2.75 by 19. We'll have a link to those below in case you want those. Before we get into what upgraded parts don't fit on a Talaria MX5, if you guys have any questions after you finish the video, drop us a comment, we'll be sure to answer. So far, one of the biggest questions about the MX5 that we've been getting asked is what upgraded wheels fit? And the answer is none. So that's a huge bummer, but Talaria changed the hub fitment, the spacing, the brake rotor thickness, the adapters on both sides of the wheel. And so basically the whole rear wheel setup is different, including the brake mount adapter. So we're working closely with Warp 9. They're gonna be taking apart an MX5 rear wheel, scanning the hub, and building custom wheels like they do for every other bike. So stay tuned for those. They will be coming, but it's gonna take some time to design a whole custom hub and brackets that are gonna fit an MX5. And that is the same with the front wheel. Here on the front, what most people don't realize is that the fork is wider. So the triple crowns are actually wider. The hub is wider, just like the rear, and it has different spacers than every other small e-moto that we've seen. So with that, no other wheel will fit. And also with that, if you were to upgrade your fork, you would have to get a different front wheel and a different front brake. So this is where it kind of gets tricky with the MX5, is because a lot of people want to upgrade their suspension, but you run into problems when you do that because this built-in brake mount is different. So you can't mount this brake to your new fork until somebody makes a custom adapter. And you can't mount this stock wheel because it's too wide for every aftermarket fork on the market right now. Next up, we got to talk about these brakes. The MX5 brakes are amazing. They're a huge upgrade over every other small e-moto that we've tried. We're 300 miles in and they're still amazing, but there's a problem because they're not compatible. Like I mentioned, the fork mount is different than every other e-moto fork. And so until somebody makes a custom adapter bracket, you can't run a front brake and you can't run a rear brake because this mount is also different. And you can't just take this bracket and put it on MX4 because your wheel spacing is different and it just doesn't fit right. So until somebody custom designs brackets for the front and rear, these brakes will not work on any other bike. Next thing we got to talk about is the chain and the sprocket. So with the MX5, Talaria moved to a 428 size chain instead of 420. So you have to buy a 428 if you want to do an upgraded or aftermarket chain. And right now we don't know of any compatible sprocket to the MX5. So the moment you cannot change sprocket sizes or change your gearing. We took it to Warp 9, they measured it. They tried to fit sprockets because they have tons of different variety. We could not find one that works, but they are working on making one because people love to change their gearing. Also, any Talaria axle blocks from MX4 or MX3 do not fit on an MX5. One other thing that doesn't fit is our TB display protector. Surprising or not, this display is actually about 1 millimeter wider than every other egg rider style display, including like the MX3 display, the MX4 display, the EBMX X9000 display. They're all about 1 millimeter narrower than this, so this no longer fits. Another question we've been asked is about the MX5 gearbox. It is heavily beefed up and a little bit different than the previous Talaria models. And we get asked a lot if you can take the MX5 gearbox and put it on your MX4 to make it better, and the answer is no. And we don't know exactly the reasons why, but it does seem that the motor has a different mounting point for the gearbox, and also this output shaft is different. And also the front sprocket is designed for a 428 millimeter chain. Maybe you can put the 420 front sprocket on, but we just don't know yet. We're hoping to take all that apart in the future and figure it out. That leads me to the MX5 motor. This is a different and improved motor over the MX4, but again, I don't know if it's compatible forwards or backwards yet. And again, we're hoping to figure this out in the future. I also want to talk about upgraded controllers. As far as we know, the connectors up here that plug your controller into the bike are the same as a Talaria Sting R. However, you have to be a little cautious and you really should wait until a controller company says their controller is compatible, because you have to have a different motor tune for this new motor. So stay tuned because we do have a controller coming and we're super excited to put it on this bike and see how much more power we can get out of the stock battery and motor. All of this bike already has a ton of power. Everybody always wants to know if you can get a little bit more. I just want to reiterate on the front end and this fork specifically, you cannot take this fork and slap it on any other e-moto model either, unless you also get this front brake and this front wheel, because again, that's kind of the whole combo, and it's the same the other direction. You can't buy an upgraded e-moto fork like an EXT or a Fastace and put it on this bike unless you again switch the brake and switch the front wheel. We've also been getting asked about decal kit fitment. The MX5 is a little bit different, has a different lid obviously, and then also the swing arm is a different design, a little bit different fitment on the graphics. We've been working with the decal kit company to help design that and make changes to the previous Talaria kits. So stay tuned on that MX5 parts page on our website. If there's kits on there specific for MX5, you know it's gonna fit. All right guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Again, if you have any questions about MX5 part fitment, drop us a comment. I'm sure there's something we forgot and we'll be sure to answer all of those. Again, October 1st, we're doing an MX5 giveaway, so go and sign up for our email list, link in the video description to know how to enter. Please, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out, and we'll catch you next video. There's some very exciting bikes coming to the channel soon. See ya.